if I view it through my lens, the long-term story of the company is really the thing that I'm mostly focused on. If I think about what are the clues out there that are pointing towards the company achieving its long-term goals, it's fully centered around that FSD stack. It's FSD. It's like, okay, so what are some nuggets out there that are telling me that it seems like they're going towards the right direction? So the most recent one, so obviously the FSD full release, making it a free trial for everybody that can have it is a huge signal that says that. But thinking about how they made it happen is even crazier in my opinion, because what this implies is that you have cars on the road from 2019 that have hardware 3 that were built 5 years ago that got a software update in 2024, and that vehicle can now make super complex driving maneuvers on the road, and it has gotten better over those 5 years. And now it's reached a point where it's gotten better faster than it ever has in its life with the same exact hardware it had 5 years ago. That's crazy to me. And you think about, you put that within the context of a car. You think about what is traditionally a car. A car is a thing that gets worse every year. It's one of those things. It's not an investment. It's not an asset. It's a liability. It's a depreciating asset. It's the thing that you have because you have to use it. But unless you have a Honda S2000 or a Ferrari 458 or a old school Porsche 911 stick or something, these things are not going to appreciate, right? So you put that additional lens on top of that, and then you have a company here that has figured out how to turn the whole thing on its head, where you have a thing that I'm not going to say appreciates, but it gets better over time. And with this software update that uses AI, literally uses artificial intelligence to make it drive the best it's ever has and make it better faster than it ever has been with 5-year-old hardware, is insane. It's absolutely crazy. And I don't think people, let's say, again, not financial advice, not investment advice, but I think from the market's perspective, I don't think they will buy into that until Tesla can prove that that's a monetizable thing. So it has to show up on the P&L somehow. It has to show up in a profit and loss sort of line somewhere where Tesla's like, okay, we have 6 million cars, 7 million cars, 8 million cars in the fleet. We turn this on. 20%, 30%, 50% of the fleet that can took it on, and look at how much money we're making a quarter now because of just software. And then it becomes a very simple math exercise. It's like, okay, so doesn't look like they're going to slow down. They're coming out with a cheap car in about a year or two. Their fleet is probably going to be 20 million in like 5 years or something, maybe even larger. And then it becomes a math exercise. Is you just do the number math, and then it says, okay, look at this, SaaS, software as a service business that just came out of nowhere. And then FSD working also implies, in my opinion, that the bot segment of the company, the thing that, has a total addressable market that's probably 100 times bigger than the car industry, then that thing is underpinned by the same exact technology that made that thing work. Yeah. And so for me, it's like when I'm thinking about that, and then I look at Q1, I'm like, yeah, that number sucks, and I move on, and that's it. But listen, like I'm not here to give advice. It's just that's how I view it.
Yeah, I think as we all know, and I think most of us, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I feel like I can say that we all of us collectively are thinking long term as we are invested or covering this company. I mean, all of us are literally in some form covering Tesla pretty much on a daily basis, whether you're a fan, you own a car, you run a show on YouTube, or you're regularly just a part of YouTube in general, or X, or just we're all covering Tesla in some form. And I would say that, a lot of us have seen the ups and downs and, seeing the worst of it going from 2018, literally this company is about to die, to having, as Farzad was saying, 10 bad years, one great year, 5 bad years after. But ultimately, this being or looking at this company, you really have to be long-term focused. And actually that made me think of like one question, Jeff, as you were talking really about, this being kind of the year of FSD. What does this mean for supply chain? As potentially they're going through this growth pain, of transitioning, again, where they're in between these growth periods of having the best selling car where everyone else is literally cutting production or laying people off, stopping making factories. What do you think this means for Tesla's supply chain as they're in this transition? Are they still continue to push forward hardcore on gigafactories and ramping those and getting a couple of up in the APAC region, or what's going on in their minds?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's two completely different worlds from, the current quarter, March 29th, to what Tesla's supply chain leadership and personnel are probably working their fingers, bodies to the bone right now. This is a massive, they're going through a massive growth period right now. And here's why. One, they're in this 2-year planning cycle. So the team that builds factories, they're in this planning cycle for the next phase of growth at each of the different sites and new sites. So from a gigafactory planning perspective and design perspective and soon an execution perspective, they're probably going to be building more concurrent factories than they've ever done before. And they're in that planning phase right now and getting approvals and incentives from all the different governments. And you've seen Elon do a lot of travel doing that. In terms of the inbound supply chain, similar thing. Suppliers understand what's happening. Like they read, like they look at what's happening in macro auto. They know China's having a slowdown from a macro perspective. They read, they understand it. They know that Tesla makes the best product. They know if they have a part number, they sell a part number into Tesla for the Model Y. They know if you get an award on the Model Y, you have the biggest unit volume auto award in the entire auto industry is getting an award with Tesla on the Model Y. So Tesla is the most attractive company to work with if you're a supplier. And then you have the engineer innovator that's leading the entire company. And what is he going to do next? What is he going to think of next? If you're a supplier, you invest you have the short-term plan, but you also want to be working with a company that continues to excite, that continues to come out with all these new things. So there comes the bot. Here comes the next compact vehicle. So suppliers right now, in the last couple of months, they sent out for RFQ on the compact vehicle. There is a massive competition and bake-off to be a supplier on the compact vehicle, because I'm sure Tesla's letting them know that this one vehicle is probably going to be the volume of our entire portfolio today and maybe double that in the future. So if you're working with Tesla in their supply chain, yeah, you may be in a little bit of a period right here where, it's still going to be great, decent, dependable volume. But what's coming in the next 1 to 2 years, it's going to be supply chain and unit volume growth and really breadth that they've never seen before. And then remember, they're all going to be vying for the bot too, which, as far as Farzad said, could be many times the entire auto business. So Tesla has a captive audience, and they are using their volume leverage to really drive profitable growth and expansion. And I think this is a very exciting time. It's a very busy time if you're designing the next factory, designing the next manufacturing process for the next product line at Tesla. This is a very exciting time because you've never worked on so many concurrent product lines before, and you're just in this transition period.
So I read that right now in the auto industry, they're using more chips than like pretty much any other industry right now. Like they're just like crazy on chips because of everything, and I imagine it has something to do with the future of tech and the vehicles. And Farzad just put in the chat about FSD and how they're not even calling it beta anymore. Like for this month, it's going to be like just a trial basis, unsupervised. I mean, that's pretty wild. I took a ride yesterday, and I uploaded a video at my Stockton service center, and it's just like, you scan a QR code and they're like, yeah, you want to take a ride in FSD? Like, go ahead. It's pretty incredible. I mean, it was pretty, and the parking, it did the self-parking. It's pretty next level. I mean, I've been riding in John's car for years, and on his like 10 to 11 to, and everything. And like now it's like, it's pretty awesome. So it'll definitely pass the wife test.
Yeah. And one thing we just real quick, I don't think a lot of us are talking about is what is the impact of FSD, full self-driving, on unit volume? It's really not clear. But as that word gets out, I think that's one of the reasons that Elon really wants the word to get out. Like, we've got something here. There may be a significant impact if the word gets out of, like, your car will drive itself. And remember, we're not under the same versioning progress that we've had with the 11 series or 10 series. These next couple of versions may be quantum leaps in improvement and capability. We're kind of hearing some hints, internally. You're hearing you see the engineers inside of Tesla like flexing, and like, their faces are rather like flexing on X. What's the impact of a car that reliably drives itself at scale at a pretty good, really good price point? What's the impact on unit volume? I think that's hard to say.